This is Brittney Slice from Unleash the Archers, and you're watching Richard Metal Fan.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Richard Metal Fan Interviews. This is episode number 28, and today's guest, and this has been a long time coming, and I've been wanting to get this guest on for a long time, and we finally made it happen today. Today we're going to be talking to one of my favorite bands and one of my favorite vocalists in metal going right now, Brittney Slice of the almighty Unleash the Archers. We're going to be talking to her about pretty much her getting into metal, just pretty much her journey from where she began to now, as well as like the albums from Unleash the Archers and like the concepts, songwriting, and lyrics and everything. And I'm glad I've pretty much been wanting to do this for a long time, and now it's finally happening. So without further ado, let's go talk to Brittney. So what's up, guys? After many months of one of the most anticipated ones I've been wanting to get, I finally get to sit down and talk to none other than Brittney Slice of Unleash the Archers. Brittney, how are you doing today?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
Doing pretty well. I've been wanting to get you on here for a long time, and now we finally made it happening. This is one I've been wanting to do for a long time, and now it's finally come to fruition.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. So basically this format is we're going to talk about like your journey pretty much from where you started up to now. But before we go into that, let's just dive right into the beginning. What were the first bands that got you into metal, and what made you want to be a vocalist?
Oh, okay. So when I was super young, like eight or so, I heard Megadeth for the first time, and that was an eye-opening moment for me.
Yeah,
And
Rest in
from
Peace
that,
is my favorite album of all time.
yeah, no, I mean they have so many good ones. I mean these days I just kind of put it on shuffle and listen to everything. But back then it was Countdown to Extinction. So it just I was enamored with the record and with everything about it, and just fell in love with heavy music. And so from there I listened to a little like kind of more of the contemporary metal bands at the time. So Tool and White Zombie and Incubus and um, Pantera and just kind of everyone that was popular at the time. But then high school kind of came around and heavy metal wasn't cool. So I wasn't what I was really listening to on the regular, and lost my way a little bit when it came to heavy music. But when I was 18, I heard Iron Maiden for the first time.
Favorite
And
band?
yes, so that is when I was brought back to my heavy metal roots and said, oh man, oh yeah, I love heavy metal. Like where have I been these last 5 years? And couldn't get enough of it after that. Just listened to everything. I gobbled it all up. From Maiden, I went to Priest, to Dio, to Queensryche, to Camelot, to everything. Just whatever I could get my hands on. But it was really 3 Inches of Blood that I saw
Another
performing
great
live,
Vancouver band.
performing locally around me, getting to see them up on stage. That was where I kind of said to myself, I could do this. I could sing in a metal band. I could be Bruce. So that was really kind of, yeah, the journey.
All right. So were you in any other bands before Unleash the Archers, or was Unleash the Archer your first band?
Yeah, they were the first real band that, I mean, I was in a different project for like a month, but that was when I realized that I wanted to front a metal band. I went on to a website called Live Victoria. That was a place where musicians would post if they were looking for members of their band, like they needed a bass player or something like that, or if a musician was looking for a project, they'd post something about themselves and hope that they get an email. So I just kind of was scrolling through there looking for any projects that were heavy metal that were looking for a vocalist. And I found one group and I jammed with them a few times and we wrote a couple tracks, but it was very much a symphonic metal band, and that wasn't quite what I was looking for. So Scott, my boyfriend at the time, well, and still, but
Yeah.
was in a band that was doing like deathcore, and I loved going to their shows, and it was always such a good time. So when they broke up, Scott came home and was like, very dejected because the band had broken up, and I was kind of like, what? Oh, that's amazing. I was like, let's start a band together. And he was like, what, really? Okay. And so we called up the guitar player from that band, who was Braden, our first guitar player. And we started Unleash the Archers, the three of us together. We found two other artists on that same website, Live Victoria, and began life as UTA. So it was really my first band. Yeah, because I mean, I was in that, but we didn't even have a name, or we kind of really were just feeling it out, and didn't really do much. So I definitely consider UTA to be my first project. Yeah.
All right. And then in 2009, you did like your little 4-song demo thing. Was that like the very first like recorded material for Unleash the Archers that you all did?
Yes. Yeah. So we needed to get our music out there. We came together at the end of 2007, and we started playing shows in 2008, and we kind of got a couple gigs in May of 2008, and people were super stoked on us, and they were just like, whoa, you guys, this is really different and cool, and how do I listen to you? And this was like just at the beginning of Facebook, but before it was really for bands. So we were all on MySpace, and we had we had a MySpace profile, but no music. And so they're kind of like, how do we listen to you? So we were just like, oh, I guess we should record some music. So we literally recorded 4 songs in our jam spot, from like live off the floor, kind of. And that was our first demo. And we started when we were playing shows again in late 2008, 2009. That's what we were handing out to people. And then a couple of the songs got put on the actual album that we recorded and released in 2009. But some songs have been lost forever to the annals of time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think MySpace back then, I know a lot of people, like it's like the band, like that really helped bands a lot back in the day.
Yeah,
And now
yeah.
it's pretty much non-existent now.
Oh, I think it's still there. It's just
Yeah.
very sad.
Do hashtag bring back MySpace.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And
Well, with the way that things are on Facebook right now, I kind of would love to have a place that's dedicated only to music. You know what I mean? I mean, MySpace wasn't dedicated to music, but it very much was taken over by musicians as the place to be when you have music. So it was nice that it was kind of centered around that. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. And
would love to have one of those right now.
yeah, yeah, and I was a late bloomer to MySpace. I didn't even have like social media until like 10 years ago with Facebook. Okay,
Yeah,
looking back, I'm like, man, I should have had a MySpace.
right. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it was it was the beginning of everything, right? It was also new, so it wasn't like a must-have like it is now, for sure. It was just kind of exciting new territory.
Yeah, yeah, and going back to like that demo, there's still like physical copies floating around. I know on Discogs I saw one pop up for like 100 something.
Yeah, I don't know if that was real.
Yeah, I think it was like some guy from Portugal or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, I need to
probably
get like
not.
that. Really need to get that UTA shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I need to
but
get it too. I don't even think I
yeah,
don't
but
know if we have any
anyway,
copies.
moving on to your full debut full-length album, Behold the Devastation. Shen, I think it's a great debut, and I think this was self-released. It's from a Can label, I think.
SoCan
Yeah,
is the Canadian content
yeah, it's right
publishing
here.
company in Canada. Yeah, it's just we put that on there because we wanted people to know that if they're going to play it, or any royalties, whatever, are going to be going through SoCan. Yeah.
All right. All right, and then of course you got what was like the whole like touring and the album cycle like for the first album?
We toured Canada. We went all the way to oh my goodness, can't remember the name. Not PEI, but yes, Charlottetown, PEI. We played PEI. We didn't make it to Newfoundland, but we got pretty much all the way. We played Halifax and got all the way from one end of Canada to the other in 2009, and then we did it again in 2010, and then we released the next record in 2011. So we were only touring Canada at that time. But yeah, we did, and we did like Western Canadian tours like crazy. We tried to be on the road as much as possible. Yeah, basically.
Okay, 2011 you released your second album, Demons of the AstroWaste. Was there like pressure to follow up Behold the Devastation?
not really.
Oh
It
wow.
was just, we had a few fans here and there. We were selling records in Germany and that kind of thing. But it was nothing. And it certainly wasn't like it is now where we have constant communication with our fans. We would get a few emails or some messages through like the CD Baby purchase website or whatever, being like, "Oh my God, this is amazing," and love you guys and so cool and can't wait for the next record. But it was just us. We just like one of the best parts about being in a band is writing new music. So as soon as we had put out Behold the Devastation, we all moved actually over to Vancouver together. And once we all got into one house together, that was immediately what we started doing, writing new music. So it was really just kind of, yeah, let's do it. Let's go next.
Yeah, and yeah, it's funny, crazy thing. This album is also 10 years old this year, which is
Yeah.
crazy. See, do you have like a different perspective about this album now as opposed to when you first put it out?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we were so stoked on it. We thought it was just the greatest thing of all time. And, you listen back to it now and it's like, oh, why did I sing that like that? Or like, what's with just so different. And production is, we just didn't have a lot of money. So we couldn't really pay for good production. And songwriting wise, we were all over the place. We were still in this transitionary period between being like a power metal band and a death metal band. So it's very much like the mashing of the two. In some points, it's just like a straight up like change right in the center of the song, going from, you know, super heavy part to like a super happy whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, absolutely. But it's a part of who we are, right? It's a part of our history. It's a part of how we got to where we are today. So we're still proud of it because in context at the time, it was a great, we were really proud of it. It was a great record, but compared to what we do now,
Yeah, you
yes,
guys really evolved a lot.
yes, we were very young then.
Yeah. Yeah, then between Demons of the AstroWaste and Time Stand Still, you released a Defy the Skies EP. Was that sort of like something to lead up to Time Stand Still?
Yeah, that was us really just kind of experimenting with that more trad metal sound, really. We had a few songs that we had written, and they all were very much following the, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro kind of format. And we hadn't really done that on our other albums. It was always just kind of whatever. And so we were like, oh, okay, let's give this a shot and give this new sound a try. But we weren't ready to put it on a full album. So we just did that 4-song EP, kind of giving it a try, seeing how people would think and what the fans would think about it. And that was kind of also this point where Grant started writing a bit more. Braden before was really the main songwriter, and then the other guitars when it was Mike, and then when it was Grant would just kind of sprinkle in ideas here and there. But the EP became more of Grant and Braden writing equally together, and Grant is a very power metal, traditional metal influenced guitar player, so you can really start to hear that on that record.
All right. Right. And then then eventually you got signed to Napalm Records. How did they find you guys?
Well, we had Time Stand Still pretty much written and ready to go. We hadn't recorded it yet. We just had a bunch of demos, and we had already recorded the music videos to those demos for Tonight We Ride and Test Your Metal.
Yeah, great
And
album right here.
and it was really funny. We didn't even bother shopping that album. I don't know why. I think we were just done with trying to get signed by that point, because we had shopped Demons, we had shopped the EP. We were looking for a label, and on this one we were like, screw it, we don't need a label. We're doing just fine. We toured the US the 2 years before that, and we
Yeah.
were starting to finally get our shit together. And so we just didn't even bother shopping it, and we posted the Dream Crusher demo on YouTube, and said, just a quick sneak peek of the record that's coming out. We're heading into the studio now. And I guess Napalm saw that and messaged us, and we're like, hey, you guys working on a new album? And we were like, yeah. And they're like, can we have it? Like, what do you got? So we sent them all the demos, and we sent them the 2 music videos that we had already done. And they were just like, yes, we would like it, please. And we kind of went back and forth on it a little bit, because we had all kind of, and by this point it was Andrew in the band now instead of Braden. So it was Andrew, Grant, Scott, and myself, and we were kind of like, well, do we need a label? But then, of course, yes, the things that a label can get you are so much more, just way more opportunities, and they add credence, to your brand. So we were like, okay, yes, fine, let's sign with them. And then basically what they said is, okay, cool, we need like however many months before we can put the record out. So we were just like, oh man. So we kind of we got into the studio and got it all recorded, and then they held on to it and released it later in 2015. So it was it was very exciting, but it was also kind of like, oh man, we've had these songs written and ready to go for like a year now.
Wow.
Let's get this out. Let's get it to the people. Not having control over that was like the first big kind of, oh, so this is what being on a label is going to be like. Yay.
Yeah, and I bet you too, being after signed with Napalm, like it just went really just skyrocketed in terms of like touring and all that good stuff.
Not really. It was we still had a lot of work to do, a lot of growing to do. But where signing to a label did help was all of a sudden we had management interested and we had booking agents interested. So we signed with a manager who said, oh, I've got all these connections and I can help you out. And then he got us a booking agent. And then the booking agents are the ones that got us the tours and the shows and that kind of thing. So Napalm really, they don't do that stuff. That's not what a label does. But they gave us that, that street cred, basically. So all of a sudden people were willing to invest in us because they knew that when we release something, when we have something going on, we have a label behind us that's going to talk about it and is going to push it to their contacts and is going to put some money behind it. That's really where, kind of where they are important. So if you want all that, you gotta have a label. That's kind of how it goes. Yeah.
All right. So moving on, we go to 2017 with Apex. I love this album.
Thank you.
Like I think this is like the first time you actually wrote like a concept album. Like what was like the whole concept behind this and how it did come to be and all that good stuff?
Well, we actually Demons of the AstroWaste was a concept record.
Yeah.
But it was written very differently. So with Demons, Braden, because like I said, we were all living together. So Braden would come to jam with a riff and be like, do you like this? Like, let's write off this. And we'd be like, yeah, that's sweet. And, we'd kind of work around it and figure it out and patch it all together. And then I would just be like, oh, that riff sounds like, I don't know, like people are marching into battle. Let's have a battle on this, in this story. And I kind of just pieced the story together around the riffs that Braden came up with. But with Apex and subsequently Abyss, I had the 2 albums pre-written out in sort of chapter by chapter format before we started doing anything. And I sent it to the boys and I said, so it's going to be 2 records. The first half is going to be Apex, and it's going to be, this is what's going on in the story. And the second half is going to be Abyss, and this is what's going on in that record. And I wrote out an overview, basically chapter 1. This is what I want it to sound like. This is what's happening. So this is going to be, the first track on the record, and this is how I want it to make the listener feel. And these are some songs or whatever that I want to use as inspiration or that kind of thing, just to give an idea of where I'm at in my head. And then the boys use that to write the riffs. And then they'd come to me and they say, I'm thinking this riff for this song. And I'd be like, yes, perfect. Or I'd be like, no, not quite. I'd be like, or oh, actually that's better for this song. Like let's use that for this song. And we just kind of, yeah, lined it all up together, you know, based it around the story of the album, because I really wanted the record, the music to reflect the story, and for the music to kind of convey the emotion of what's going on with our characters at every moment. So that was why I did it like that. It's very structured and precise, and we kind of were always on the same page together during the writing process with what, you know, what was happening and what should be going on. So it was a really fun way to write, and we always were moving in the same direction. So that's really kind of it was just a very unifying songwriting experience in general.
All right. So with like Time Stand Still and of course Apex and of course later with Abyss, do you usually have like a concept in mind, or does the band try to like write the concept beforehand?
Well, yeah. So Time Stand Still, I wrote a couple songs that were about being an independent band in Canada. So I wrote Tonight We Ride about leaving for tour, and then I wrote Test Your Metal about hometown hero bands that like are not, I mean, they're not bad. It's just that they're full of themselves, and yet they've never left their own hometown, right?
Right.
Um, so that's kind of like what Test Your Metal is about. And then I wrote Dream Crusher about how the music industry can just be so hard, and how you really have to, we got to rely on each other. We got to just don't ever take your fans for granted, and let's support local music and support each other. And we can make the music scene great. We can just ignore all the crap that the music industry is known for by coming together to, to support one another. So after those 3 songs were written, Scott was like, well, why don't you just write the whole record about every aspect of being an independent band? I was like, oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, really good idea. So then every song that I wrote after that, I just kind of would pick little tidbits of our tour history as a Canadian band, or just aspects of being an independent band in Canada, and wrote about that. But Apex and Abyss, yes,
All right.
100%.
All right. So do you so, like I feel like bands like they have like are very so concept driven that they pretty much force the message on the listener. But I feel like with you guys, there's like a balance between storytelling and sort of like taking like their own like vision or inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, it's super important to me that it tell a story, but also that anyone can just pop in and listen to a track and feel connected to it. I don't want someone to listen to a single and be lost. I want them to be able to apply their own personal experiences to it. I want it to mean something to them, whatever that may be. I don't want them to think, oh, this song is talking about, whatever, and going off to fight a dragon or whatever, may happen, and
Yeah.
not be able to apply it to their real life. So I write in such a way that it's very non-literal, and I want it to be kind of abstract in some cases, but also tell the story. So I try not to be too specific in my lyrics when I'm writing, but yeah, it's kind of this, you really have to walk a fine line between sacrificing melody and catchiness to get your story across, and also writing it in such a way that it can be construed any way someone wants it to be. I'm not the kind of person that's going to get mad at a fan that says, oh, I thought this song was about this, and I'll be like, you like, what, you're stupid. Like, it's obviously about the immortal and its struggles with the matriarch or whatever, like, I'm not super attached to it. That's what I wrote it about, but it can be about whatever you need it to be about at that time. And it's really important to me that I write my lyrics that way.
All right. So as a vocalist, do you need to hear music in order to come up with lyrics, or do you usually have like a lyrical concept in mind, or and that could determine the music itself?
Yeah, I definitely have the concept loosely kind of floating around in my noggin, but it's very much about hearing the music first, because I find that, and sometimes when people come to me with, questions about songwriting, or if they, they're asking for tips or whatever, that kind of thing, they will say, I've got these lyrics. What do you think? And I go back and I just say, well, where's the melody? Like, how does this work? Where, what you've sent me is a poem. Until there's music behind it, it's not a song. It's not lyrics. So I never write lyrics first, because then you get attached to them. And then if it's not working right with the music, then you kind of just, you stuff it in there and you try and make it work. That's one thing I can't stand sometimes when I'm listening to bands, is if there's just too many words and you could tell that they really wanted to say one particular thing, but it's at the expense of sounding right. I have kind of just the general idea, and then I write I hear the riffs, then I write the vocal melody, and it's all in like las and das, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then I write the words that work. So I'm on the thesaurus like at all times, because it's like I want to say this, but I need it to be 3 syllables and it needs to end in an A. So it's kind of, it's just because if you get attached to it, then you're unhappy with the song at the end. And if you can't say exactly the word that you wanted to say, you know what I mean? So just try not to get too attached to your lyrics before you've heard the actual song. It's just my opinion.
Right. It would suck to have like the best set of lyrics and they would go like 1 syllable over the arrangement. Has that ever happened?
Exactly. Yeah, no, because I don't I don't write things out first. So yeah.
All right. Do you tend to like leave your lyrics open to interpretation, or you do try to engage the listener into what the songs are about?
Both. Yeah. I mean, I just want people I want to tell the story, but not at the expense of alienating the listener. I want them to be able to interpret it however they want. If they listen really closely, they'll be able to figure out what's going on. But if they're just kind of passively listening, it's not going to be something that they can't, kind of, can't think of the word, that they can't affiliate with. Yeah.
All right. Can somebody's like own interpretation of the lyrics can sort of like affect you and pretty much how you view yourself as an artist?
What do you mean? Like if someone interprets a song a certain way, like how does that affect me as an artist?
Yeah, just make like if you like it affects you in a certain way, or if it like makes you like look at things differently.
I mean, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely have had some, we have a lot of back and forth in the Discord over the UTA lore. And there's been some points where I'm kind of on like the cusp of an idea for something, and someone will be like, oh man, so does this mean this? And I'll be like, yes, that's exactly what it means, because I just leave things open, so much so to the point that other people's interpretations could absolutely become the way that things work. I'm not going to take it to the point where people are dictating the story, where writing it basically for me, and I'm just going to change everything to go with what people are suggesting. I have the stories in my head, and they're gonna, I'm gonna write them the way that feels right to me. But I'm absolutely open to people having ideas that might help move the story in a certain direction. It was mostly after Apex came out that, because I had, like I said, I only had the general gist of the story for Abyss before we started writing it. So when people were like, oh man, is this going to happen now? And most of the time I was like, no, you got that wrong. But a couple of times I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Maybe I'll do that, But for the most part, it was kind of predetermined. But there was one time where we were in the lore channel and someone had misinterpreted the lyrics to think that the story was going in a certain direction, and it was definitely not that. And when everyone was kind of like, yeah, well, everyone can just interpret it the way they want, and this person was like, nope, this is the story, this is how it works, this is what's going on, listen to what the lyrics say, like this is is the story. And I had to literally go in there and be like, yo, chill out. Anyone can do whatever they want with these words. I'm not one of these super solid world builders where there's a perfect detail for every aspect of it. If people want to have this world be something that I didn't intend for, that's okay. Like, let people have whatever story they want. And they were extremely forceful about their ideas and asserting that they were like
Wow.
fact. And I was like, you're talking to the lyricist here. I think you need to leave. So that was the one negative time that I've ever had with when it came down to interpreting my lyrics. Yeah.
All right. And I always loved your vocal work. In my opinion, you're one of the best metal vocalists going right now. And I remember first hearing the song The Matriarch, and for the occasion I'm wearing my Matriarch shirt.
Nice.
Church that, yeah, I figured I'd get the approval from Brittney Slays herself.
I
But
like
I
it.
remember hearing that song, I was blown away. Do you usually have what's wrong with like the lyrics? Do you ever have like the phrasing, like the note and the range in mind as well?
Yes, yeah. The matriarch, actually, in particular, that is the one that I sent. I literally just like recorded a voice memo and it was like, Andrew, this is what I want. Like, it needs to be a build up in the pre-chorus, and then it needs to drop out, and I'm gonna go, the matriarch. And then I want to, whoa. I'm gonna be like, whoa. And
Yeah.
he's like, okay. And he just took that little voice memo and he wrote the whole song based completely around that. So there are definitely times when I say things like that. Like, I just really want this to be the thing with this track. And Andrew will usually write around it. Yeah.
All right. And then between Apex and Abyss, you also did the Explorers EP. Was that sort of like a sneak preview of what Abyss was going to be?
No, it was a covers EP that so when we recorded Apex, we knew that we needed to have a bonus track for the Japanese edition of the record. They always
Yeah, it's the
need,
Queenstrike cover.
yeah, so they always need a something special for the Japanese labels.
Yeah.
So we actually arranged Northwest Passage to be the bonus track on Apex. But then when we heard it after being in the studio, we were like, no, this is way too awesome. We need to give this record or this song its own, you know, spot in the limelight, basically. And we just love that song. Stan Rogers means so much to us as Canadians. He's an epic folk singer that passed away, and his music is so intertwined with Canadian culture in general. And we just love that song in particular. It's about touring. It's about touring Canada. It's about, all these things that we've done so many times in our career. And we listen to it when we're on the road all the time, and we just love singing it. And we all know the words. So we were just like, we need to cover this song. So when we heard the final product, we knew that we couldn't just have it be a bonus track for only the Japanese version of the album. So we quickly recorded Queen of the Reich, just super quick like that. We were like, oh God, okay, here goes something else. And then we held on to Northwest Passage, trying to figure out what to do with it. And then it was actually our A&R at Napalm that said, hey, why don't you record another Canadian cover song, and we'll do like a little 2-song 7-inch EP. And we were like, yes, that's a great idea. We did Heartless World by Tease for the B-side. I felt like it really fit with that same kind of vibe, that same talking a little bit about life in Canada in general. It had the same kind of mood. So then when there was that lull before Abyss came out, we were in the middle of writing the record, we put out the Explorers EP just as its own kind of standalone thing to keep fans interested while they had to wait for us to get a new record together. So
Yeah, and I loved Northwest Passage. That's like probably one of my favorite Unleash the Archers songs, even though it's a cover, but I think you pretty much made it your own.
thank you. Yeah, we were kind of blown away by it at the end. We were like, whoa, Nice. Okay, cool.
All right. And so we got the latest album, Abyss. I love this album. Pretty much one of my favorite albums of last year. What was that whole process like? I mean, obviously this was right when, of course, the world went to shit with the certain virus that I do not want to name on this channel.
We actually we wrote all of 2019. We used that year to focus solely on writing the record. It was very important to us that we not rush it. We wanted it to, to have all of our attention. So we played 70,000 tons in January, and then after that, we focused completely on writing the record. And so we had it all done, finished, ready to go. We hit the studio in Denmark in January of 2020, and we were hearing whispers of issues in China at that time, but it was kind of like, huh, crazy. Ooh, like glad we're not over there. And then we
Yeah.
flew home with a completed record, and COVID hit Europe, and we were like, whoa, crap. The band that was in the studio after us ended up having to quarantine there for
Oh
like,
shit.
yeah, for like 6 weeks because they couldn't go home. The borders were closed between all the different countries. So they flew to Denmark to record and then had to stay there. So they had a nice long time in the studio. Lucky for them. But we got out of there just in time, and we went on tour through the States. We were
Yeah.
just like, that was the plan. We were going to tour the Explorers EP. And 6 days into the tour, COVID hit the East Coast of North America, and we were back home, um, safe in Vancouver. And the label was like, okay, well, obviously we have to push the record back because it was planned to be released in June. And so we were supposed to be doing music videos and getting all that stuff sorted together, and we couldn't. The whole world was in lockdown. There was no studio that was going to let us in there to record a music video, right? And you couldn't be outside your bubble, and it was just crazy lockdown. So we were like, okay, well, we can't can't record any music videos right now, so got to push the record back. And then a month went by, and it was still not getting better. We
Yeah.
were like, oh crap. So Napalm pushed it to July, and then another month went by, and they're like, okay, let's push it to August. And we were like, okay. And by that time, things were opened up again. So we were able to start doing music videos and stuff. And we were full on in the process, getting everything ready, artwork, merchandise, getting it all organized. And, to be ready for an August release. And Napalm said, let's push it again. Let's push it to 2021, actually. And,
Yeah.
and that was when I was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. You were like, fuck that. No.
Yeah, and it was because we had had 2 months of the pandemic. A month of that had been full lockdown, and I was glued to my Spotify, looking for new music, looking for something, anything to take the pain away. Give me something to look forward to. I can't do this anymore. I need something. And we had watched all of the festivals that we had booked for that summer disappear, and all the tours that we had booked. We had so many tour dates booked for the fall of 2020. Like, the whole world. We were going to literally go everywhere, and watched all those fall apart. And I was so depressed that I was like, no, you are not taking this away from me. We are releasing Abyss. I think people are really going to like having something to look forward to during this thing. And so Napalm was like, okay, yeah, let's give it a try. You'll be one of the only records that we're releasing in the pandemic. We'll give you our full attention, and we'll try and make this the best we can. We'll give it everything we got. So we went forward with it, and it was exactly like I thought it was going to be. People were really excited to have something new to listen to and something to look forward to. So, and like, we just absolutely worked our asses off to get everything ready, and made, like, I think ended up doing 4 music videos for it. I can't really remember.
Yeah. I know you did like one for the title. I think it was the title track,
Yeah.
Legacy, uh, faster than light, I think.
And then I think, did we do
I
like
think it was the
a,
one where you guys were like running on a track.
yeah, Faster Than Light.
Yeah.
I know we did Abyss, Soulbound. Yeah, we
Yeah,
did 4
Soulbound.
videos. Yeah, Abyss, Soulbound, Faster Than Light, and Legacy. And so it was kind of like, I don't think we'd ever done that many before. And
Yeah.
big push, but so it worked out. It was, one of the best releases we'd ever had. But then it was like, okay, now what do we do? Here
Yeah.
it is, November. The record's out. Everyone's loving it. It's doing really well, and we can't tour.
Yeah, but I
And
know you did like that live stream, which I think was
yes,
amazing.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It wasn't nearly like playing live. A lot of people are kind of like, is live streaming going to become permanent? And it's like, probably, but it's certainly not. No one's going to stop going to live shows to
Yeah,
go
I'm
to
not.
live streams. Yeah, exactly. But so then we were just kind of like, crap, what do we do? We need to get on the road. So, we started Twitch streaming and trying to just kind of stay as connected to everyone as we possibly could. So it was a very interesting album release, but it was like, I don't know, it's one of the greatest ones for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know like Twitch, from what I heard, is like a lot of bands have gone on there. I remember seeing
Yeah.
like the guys from Trivium, like they've pretty much are like the kings of
Well,
Twitch streaming.
Matt had been on there for a long time. Matt and Herman from Dragon Force
Yeah.
had been on Twitch for a while. So they were kind of the OGs of heavy metal on Twitch. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until the pandemic that a lot of people started jumping on that bandwagon. And I'm glad that they did. We have a rad heavy metal community on there now. It was a bit of a kind of, these are the two guys or few guys and girls that you could go to on Twitch if you wanted to get some music content. And now it's just exploded, and it's awesome, and it's such a rad place to hang out. So, yay for that. Too bad the circumstances that it had to, to bring it around, but I'm glad that it's there. Yeah.
All right. And was it with this album you had your old bassist Nico left, and on this album you got Benjamin Arscott. How did he end up playing bass on Abyss?
He's a friend of Andrew's and ours, all of us. He's from Victoria, from the old days. Yeah. He played in a couple of Andrew's projects before Andrew came on board with Unleash. So that's how we knew him. Yeah.
All right. And then of course live you've got Nick Miller filling in, and of course I remember seeing you all back in September in Atlanta, and was even in the VIP. P.S. Will he be an official member?
I can't say anything about that.
Yeah, I mean,
But
was part of the VIP, and he signed the
yeah,
stuff.
I mean,
Might as well.
he's in the band. It's
Yeah,
just, he's
be like as I told you at the VIP. P is like, as Jack Black once said, just because you ain't in the band doesn't mean you ain't in the band.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, going with Abyss, if somebody were to discover you guys, I feel like this album and of course Apex were almost kind of like the Lord of the Rings in a way to get like the full concept, which somebody needs to before listening to Abyss, they would have to listen to Apex beforehand, or before Apex they would have to listen to Time Stand Still.
Well, definitely before listening to Abyss, they should listen to Apex, but that's
Yeah.
only, I mean, there are, like I said, there's no rules. So
Yeah.
you can, at Time Stand Still, you can listen, a lot of people discover us from the most recent stuff. So
Yeah, especially with all the reaction videos on YouTube.
yeah, my recommendation is to just, go, if you can, one day, sit down and put Apex on and listen straight through to Abyss.
Yeah.
And just to kind of, see for yourself how we meant for it to be heard. But in no way do you have to listen to it like that in order to, in order to kind of get the best experience.
Yeah, so part one and then part two.
Yes, yeah.
Too. So like I pretty much like you pretty much let me into my next question, well, which I pretty much would consider Abyss shuffle friendly. Like you like somebody don't need to start from Waking Dream and end with Afterlife. They can like start with like Legacy or Soulbound. So I feel like this album could be like approached in like different ways.
Yeah, we did that on purpose. We wanted them very much to flow into each other properly, but we also wanted them to all be their own entity. We wanted you to be able to listen to one song and to feel connected to it and not feel like you were lost. So we wrote every song with the other songs in mind, but we also try to make something special about each track. So this is the song that does this, or this is the song that has the catchy chorus, or this is the song that, you know what I mean? They've all got this kind of special moment about them, but also you can listen to them flowing one into the other, and nothing will be jarring. No changes will be, out of, context or anything like that.
Yeah, and I still love this album. Like, remember when I saw you all in Atlanta? You pretty much played almost the whole album, except
Yes.
for "Return to Me." I mean, in
Yeah.
fact, you should do like another live stream where you just played this album start to finish. It's
Yeah.
just so good.
I think we might do that. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, I really would love to see "Return to Me." And one of my favorite songs on here is "Carry the Flame," where Andrew actually sings with you. How did he end up doing like a song where he sings as well?
Well, he sang on Earth and Ashes in Apex.
Oh shit, I didn't even knew
Because
that. I haven't listened to this in a
he
long time. I need to. I've just
he
been focusing on this one.
he's just got a great voice. And so I knew in Earth and Ashes that I wanted to have someone kind of portray the character of the fourth son and be this sort of back and forth effect for that track. So when it came time to do Abyss, and I knew I wanted someone to voice the grandson, who is the son of the fourth son, it was obvious that Andrew was going to do that. So I basically, threw him into the studio for Earth and Ashes and was like, yeah, you're singing this part, by the way. And then for Abyss, I said, so I'm thinking that you're going to sing on this one. And he was just like, yes, awesome, super stoked. So it was a little bit more planned, but I still kind of sprung it on him day of.
All right. So like going back from like being the concepts, like I feel like I mentioned before, your albums are pretty concept driven. Has there ever been like personal experiences that influence the concept, or do you usually let the music be like your own means to escape?
Both. I mean, both Apex and Abyss are very much influenced by all the pop culture, nerd culture stuff that I've loved over my life. A lot of movies and books and comics and video games, they've all influenced the story. But it's also about a personal struggle that I think everyone can relate to, which is finding who you are and loving that person and embracing your faults and your strengths and using that to your advantage and kind of saying, I don't care what the rest of the world thinks. This is who I am, and I'm going to be me, and I'm going to destroy. I'm going to rock it. And that's really the whole kind of character arc of the Immortal, is him kind of feeling down on himself and then being like, you know what, this is who I am. I'm way more powerful when I embrace myself. So I'm going to do that. And that's really kind of, I think we've all been through that struggle or are currently going through that struggle. And so I just wanted to, kind of write a story that people can relate to.
All right. Now going to playing live, do you play a character or in a way, or do you try to like express like a personal or different side of you?
Yeah, depending on the song. Sometimes it's very much my voice in the song. It's me speaking. It's coming from a personal place. Like in Through Stars, I love that song. I wrote that song about kind of my love of science and astrophysics and astronomy and all that kind of stuff. And so that's really kind of the underside of that track, even though it's also about the Immortal realizing that he's woken up out in space and he's kind of like, where the heck am I? But dang, it sure is pretty out there. So that song is very much me. But then there's other tracks, like I'm singing Cleanse the Bloodlines, and I really feel like the matriarch when I'm singing that, or when I sing The Wind That Shapes the Land. It's very much the Immortal coming out of me, the actual character. So it's a little bit of both.
All right. All right. And like, is there like a similar art to songwriting versus like playing live, or they're completely different entities?
Oh yeah, it's completely different. Songwriting is extremely fun, but also extremely challenging. And it takes time, and it's something that you want to put a lot of your focus into. And playing live, it's just like comes naturally for me, at least. It's, I know it's not like that for everyone, but it's the part that makes everything worthwhile. So you go through the agony of trying to write new music that people are actually going to care about, merely so you can play it live for everyone and enjoy it, alongside all of your fans, and hope that they have fun listening to it as much as you have fun playing it.
Awesome. So I got two more questions for you. I love to ask artists this because I always get a different answer anytime. You ready for the difficult question of the interview?
Sure.
How do you know when a song is done?
Oh. um I mean, there is a something to be said for having a little self-control, because you can always keep changing songs. You can you can work on a song forever. You could, if you wanted to, but um I think you just kind of have to wait until you feel that, that resolution, that personal resolution. So, and sometimes you just straight up don't have time. That's one thing that I love about booking studio time before the record is done. It's because, all right, you got to get it, we got to be finished before we hit the studio, and we got to have pre-production done, and we got to be ready to rock it, because we're not one of those bands that can afford to just book a studio open-ended and write while we're, recording at the same time, that kind of thing. We're not like that. We have everything ready to go, done, before we step foot in the studio. So I like to put that kind of time limit on us so that we don't mess around and constantly rewrite every single riff over and over again. So it's you kind of get a little bit of both. Sometimes you just want to, I mean, there were a couple tracks where we were just like, this still isn't right. What's going on with this? And it ended up just being like, we just literally just flicked a whole part, just tossed it, because it's like, this part isn't working. Why isn't it working? We need to fix it. Let's change it. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's make it do this, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, we just were like, you know what? Bye-bye. We can't make you work, so you're not going to be in the song anymore. And we kicked a whole riff out. Can I help you? Can you hear him meowing? Do you want me to let him out? Okay.
It's good. We're almost done. I got one more question.
Okay.
And this is pretty much coming from Canada. There's like so many great bands, like from Unleash the Archers to the 3 Inches of Blood, Rest in Peace, to Rush, so many great bands. So is there like a scene in Canada that you fell a part of, or was the goal to get outside of Canada and just play in front of different audiences in different countries?
I mean, both. Canada is our hometown, so it's very important to us that we continue to play shows in Canada, and that we connect with our Canadian fans. And they were there for us from the beginning. They were there before anyone else was. And when we first started touring the US, when no one knew who the heck we were, our Canadian dates would save us at the end of it, because we would be so in debt and have no food and no money, and we'd cross that border, and all of a sudden it would be all of our fans at the show, and we'd be selling things out, and the coffers would be replenished. So we're forever grateful to Canada and how they have propelled us to where we are now. But the point of being in a band is to grow, and to grow your fan base. And eventually one day you want every single person on earth to know your music. That's the goal. So yeah, it's very important that you get out there, and that you play new towns and play new countries, and play for the people that have discovered you. Especially now with the internet, anyone can listen to you in any corner of the world. So don't alienate them. Get out there and try and play live for them, because that's why we do this. We don't do this to sit in our living rooms and play guitar to ourselves. We want to be out there with you guys, and we want to play music live the way it was meant to be heard. So I think it's super important that you get out there and do your best to tour. And we always have had that state of mind. You cannot sit on your butt. If you want to, you got to decide what you want. Do you want to be a band that is known, or do you want to just be a hometown hero? And because if you don't want to just be a hometown hero, get in your tour bus and eat ramen for the next 6 weeks, because that's the only way to do it, basically.
Pretty much, really well said.
Thank
So before we go, I just want to thank you so much for this interview. There's just anything else you would like to talk to or promote with Unleash the Archers in terms of like new music or hopefully new tours? Like tours, I'm slowly it's coming back. I saw you all on the Eighth Realm tour. It's great. It's just anything else you'd like to promote?
Yeah, we're coming back to the US at the beginning of December. I'm not sure when this episode's going to go up,
It'll probably be
but
up later today, later tonight.
oh, okay, perfect. So yeah, we're coming back. We're just doing the parts that were missed at the beginning
Yeah,
of
because
the
I heard
September
about that
tour.
border
Yeah,
bullshit.
the border didn't let us in, so we had to try again a week later, and we had to cancel 5 shows. So we're kind of replacing those shows, plus playing a few others, and we're going to play in Central/Eastern Canada a few shows as well. So check our website out for that, www.unleashthearchers.com, and come hang out with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/unleashthearchers. And if anyone here likes Discord, we also have a Discord server. So come hang out there too.
Awesome. So everyone, Brittney Slays from Unleash the Archers. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.